Can Roma challenge for the Scudetto? And do Napoli have enough squad depth to go all the way? Well, the Giallorossi have put together 12 consecutive away wins in Serie A, including the last 7 from last season and the first 5 of this year. And that is a Serie A record. But what's important, really, is the fact they've won on the way away from home every single time this season, as well as having incredible numbers in defense that put Roma up there with the very best. And not many people would have thought that once they let go of Luciano Spalletti, bringing in Eusebio Di Francesco, who for many was just a new Zdenek Zeman, or that was initially his aim as a coach when he started off. He is an admirer of the Bohemian coach, that such a legend in Serie A, despite not ever winning anything substantial. But Di Francesco is very different. Di Francesco has been very careful not to concede many goals, and that is usually what makes a difference in Serie A. The team that concedes less usually wins the title at the end of the year. It's been Juventus for the past 6 seasons. It might be Roma this year because they've been able to win several games 1-0. And even if they had a Zeman-esque performance in Florence against Fiorentina, winning in the end 4-2, the point is they got the victory. They got the victory deservedly. And, you know, looking at other teams, for example, Juventus struggling against Benevento, well, and Napoli drawing in Verona against Chievo, Roma had one of the hardest games this weekend, yet they got the win. They got the 3 points in Florence after a fantastic week that saw them beat Chelsea 3-0 in the Champions League. So whilst we wait for the international break to be over, hoping for Italy to be at the next World Cup, and as you can see, we're all ready for the support we're going to give the Azzurri, both in Stockholm, with Forza Italian Football being there in person, and as well at the San Siro the following Tuesday. That's going to be the big break, but we're going into the break with Roma doing so well, and with the derby against Lazio coming up in 2 weeks' time. Well, Napoli's squad depth has always been a big issue because Maurizio Sarri seems to be playing always the same players, especially up front. If there's a bit of change in the middle, a bit of rotation with Rog, Zielinski and Diawara replacing the starting trio, Jorginho, Amsic and Allan quite often. Up front, Unas has come on a couple of times, Milik before the injury, but that's it. It's Callejon, Mertens and Insigne. Always. And sometimes these players have shown to be a bit tired. And we saw that against Chievo. They lacked that lucidity, that brightness to make a difference up front. And that is the real difference when you're tired, is not necessarily in the running, how much you can keep up with your opponents, but making the right decisions. And when your mind goes a bit all fuzzy, it's difficult. And even though Sorrentino was amazing and Chievo, you know, were perfectly in defending, Napoli dominated. Napoli could have won that game. The victory just wasn't there. And Napoli were a bit so-and-so already against the Sassuolo. And to be honest, they're still top of the league. But the squad depth is something that could become a bigger issue later on in the season. Napoli started off the season with a very important game, the most important so far this year, the Champions League playoff against Nice. They had to be at their best physical level then, so they might be losing something later on this year. And even though right now the game against Chievo came straight after a Champions League tie, and at this rate it's going to be difficult to see Napoli still playing in top European competition by February. They might go back probably to the Europa League, and in that case it's going to be, you know, a kind of different approach for Sarri. I don't see him playing all his main men also in the Europa League as he's done in the Champions League. But Sarri needs to find new solutions, alternatives in the style of play, as well as, you know, sometimes playing an extra midfielder and a striker less to give some rest, even mentally, to some of his players. And against certain teams like Chievo, Sarri's amazing football might not necessarily work. Juventus have become a bit like Brazil in the old days, a team ready to score as many goals as possible, whilst conceding, and that goes against what we've seen in the past seasons, with Juve always having a very, very strong, safe defense, knowing that at some point one of the strikers would have scored one goal. One goal isn't enough for Juve to win this season. They need to score a lot more, and they have done so in many cases. But of course, conceding at home against Benevento seemed, and losing at the end of the first half seemed almost incredible. But after winning 6 Scudettos in a row with that solidity, it almost seems like Juve want to have a bit more fun with their players up front, with the likes of Douglas Costa, Bernardeschi coming in. They haven't played much. Quadrado is a player who loves entertainment. Dybala's got that quality there to make a difference. And even though right now he's not at his very best, even against Benevento, he didn't score, but he still created a lot of chances. I don't see him in that big crisis. He's missed some crucial penalties, but he's still in the game, just like Gonzalo Higuain. So Juve have those amazing players up front, and at the back, losing Leonardo Bonucci in that mechanism has kind of made a difference so far. But is it really a problem? Well, conceding a lot is only a problem if you don't score a lot. Of course, usually, as we mentioned for Roma, the team that's got the best defense wins the title, and that's for sure. And I'm sure Allegri isn't happy about the current defending by the whole team, not just by the defenders. But of course, as long as Juve get the results, and right now this team, 31 points after 12 games, is as good as the best Conte or Allegri sides we've seen in the past 6 seasons. Not any worse. Is Napoli just doing so amazing? And this year it's weird because a lot of smaller clubs are giving away many points, so there's a lot of teams at the top with a lot of points. Of course, with Napoli and Inter with their best ever start to Serie A. But Juve are conceding a lot, but as long as they score a lot, they're still up there and they can still win the title. So let us know your thoughts on Roma, Napoli and Juventus, on who will be up there at the end of the season, who will win Serie A, and if defending is more important than scoring one goal more than the opponent. And of course, let us know what you think Italy will be doing in Sweden, and then at the San Siro, will they be in Russia come May? And of course, support us on Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's ciao for now.